top priorities in offense, doing the offense?
Yeah, I think a lot of self-scout was the number one thing. See where we are, through 4 games, and you always want to take a good look at yourself, and from a tendency standpoint, or what we've done well, what we haven't done so well, and then ask yourself why we haven't done those things well. And I think you can learn a lot from watching your own videos. Sometimes we get caught in the week-to-week preparation of a game, and you don't really take a hard look at it, and it's moving so fast when you're playing each and every week. You're on to the next opponent, and we'll come back to that later or whatever. But I think it was a good chance to self-evaluate and really go through kind of where our success has come from on offense and where we've been inefficient, and how to improve those areas. And I think we got a great start on that last week.
Chip, what can you say about JJ and his growth throughout the first part of the season? It seemed like it all came together for him at Pitt.
Yeah, he's making plays for us down the field. He's making contested catches, which is always nice. I told you, I think last time I spoke, that during the spring he was still injured, and I didn't see a lot of him, so I didn't really know kind of what we had with him. But I think you're seeing a guy that's getting more comfortable the more reps he gets. I think he's a big-bodied receiver that can make contested catches. I think that's his strength, and route running's been good, and really he's been a really shot in the arm for us. Going into the season, we were not sure what we had, or I wasn't for sure. I know Lonnie felt really good about him and kept telling me that, and he was right. And I like his progress, and I think he's making a lot of plays for us. We got to keep doing that.
When you're doing the self-scouting part, Max kind of talked about trying to get the running game back on course. What was something you maybe noticed in these last 2 games that you guys, maybe were doing in those first 2 games that you had success that led to the deficiencies?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's personnel based. I mean, Pittsburgh and Minnesota, the strength of their defense is internally, and I think the Minnesota game, at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, we were able to run the ball pretty successfully, and I think a lot of that had to do with those guys getting tired and our guys being able to finish blocks a little better maybe than early in the game. But you got to tip your hat to Minnesota. They're pretty stout inside. Pittsburgh's the same way. Coach Narduzzi, he's kind of a defensive guy that I've admired from afar. He does a great job of getting extra hats into the box, as well as Minnesota does too. So they force you to really throw the ball on the perimeter, and I think that's really what it said. These defensive coordinators around the country, my experience is they try to take things away from you and make you play left-handed, so to speak, right? With one, trying to take one thing away and make you one-dimensional. And the key is to not be able to not let people do that to you. And I think early on we struggled blocking those guys up front, but I thought we made some strides. The end of the Minnesota game and the Pittsburgh game, I think they left the receivers out there one-on-one, and we were able to make some plays. And so I think that's why Drake had a big night that night, as well as Minnesota.
In your experiences, without having exhibition games or preseason games, how long is it, in your first year somewhere, how long does it take you to feel real comfortable with the personnel you have and how they can respond to some of the things you like to do? And are you at that point now with this offense?
Yeah, I think so. I think as you play and get game reps, that's where you get you see what your guys are capable of doing against different people. When you play against your defense, in practice in fall camp in the spring, then at times you get into what can we do to move the football against our defense, because you see those guys every day, they see us every day, and I think game experience is critical. And I think get through 4 games, I think I have a better feel of maybe what we're capable of doing, what we're not capable of doing. I think football comes down to one-on-one matchups, winning them, whether they're in the trenches up front or out on the perimeter or wherever. And some weeks you're going to be going against some matchups maybe that aren't good for you, and you got to be able to adjust and do some things different. At the same time, the balancing act is not trying to do too much. You can't. There's a lot of really good plays out there that you see each and every weekend, but you can't run all those plays because you don't have time to practice them against all the different looks. So I think that's the balancing act we all do every week, is trying to figure out, okay, what are we capable of doing? What's our strength? How can we get to doing the things that we're good at doing, but at the same time giving it a different look? And I think that's the challenge each and every week.
Follow up to that, Drake spoke a lot about one of his points of emphasis in the offseason was footwork. Mm-hmm. How much of it was also game management? And how do you think he's doing in the game management aspect? Because that's the other thing the next level is watching.
Sure, no doubt. I think the footwork piece is improved, I think, tremendously. I think he does a better job. One of the things that makes him unique is being able to make plays on the move and in space, and in and out of the pocket. I think that's critical for his success. But I think game management, understanding the situation. Okay, we're in a 1 minute situation, which I think that came up maybe App State where we went down and I think we missed the field goal, but that was a great job by him. He understood the time, he understood, when to take that shot down the field and when to throw it away or whatever the case may be. I think in the red zone, hey, we're in field goal range, it's touchdowns and checkdowns, that old saying. I think that's good. Or hey, we're in 4 minute offense toward the end of the game. We want to milk the clock and run the football as well as we can. And so I think he's improved. I think, you got to remember he's played one game, I guess one season in 4 games now. So, he's still somewhat of a young player, but really like the progress he's making. I think, you hit the nail on the head. He's improved a lot in those situations.
Chip, when you get Willie Lampkin back, whenever that is, what do you do with William Martin? What do you do with Diego Pounds?
Well, I think you play them all. I mean, I think Diego's earned the right to play. I think he's played well the last 2 weeks. He's not perfect by any means, but you see his natural ability taking over, and he's played well and been more consistent. And I think that's what we were looking for him, is to be more consistent. I think Will Barnes is a guy that's got a lot of reps. He's got experience, and there's nothing better than experience. And so I think that combination, and if we get Willie back and can get, as well as Adorno, who was banged up and is trying to get back as well and played some, that just gives us more depth. You're always looking as a coach, I think, for eight guys that you think can play. 3 guards, 3 centers, or 2 centers and 3 tackles. And when we get those guys back, I think that puts us in a lot better situation, because the season's long, it's a grind. Those guys are in a fight every play up there, so it gets physical. They're going to get banged up some, and getting Willie back will be huge for us.
Let me ask you that, you're playing the 8 guys, I always, all the coaches want 8 to play, and then you look at the snap counts after the game, and it's usually 5 solid. How do you work those guys in, and what's the process of working guys in to get 8 in the game at once?
Yeah.
Is there a set plan going in?
Yeah, there is going in. Last week, a little different. We were limited last 2 weeks, actually, with our guards, but guys being banged up. I think Randy's always fighting, okay, how many plays is too many? Between Ed, between Willie, between Will, between those guys at guard, where do they kind of plateau, right? Where do they kind of peak? And I think he's trying to figure that out each and every week, and a lot of that's based on who's available, who's healthy. But in a perfect world, you'd love for, now don't get me wrong, you're going to have 5 guys you think, these are our best 5 guys we got to get on the field and we got to play with. But, the more we can play, I know Coach has been pushing us tremendously on both sides of the ball to create more depth, because that makes everything better and keeps us fresh. And I think if you go back to, the Minnesota game, we played more than 5, I think, not Minnesota, but App State, we played more than 5. Minnesota, we started getting a little banged up, so probably didn't. But that's the goal, is to find those 8 guys and find that rotation, that sweet spot, so to speak, in the rotation, so we can stay fresh.
Is it a total snap count thing, or is it like this guy can play 10 straight and he's probably going to step back?
Yeah, I don't think it's 10 straight. You try to do it by drives, probably. In a perfect world, I don't know what that number looks like. Like Corey Gaynor is a veteran guy, experienced. You want him in there as much as he can be in there, but you have to have a plan in case something happened to him. I just think, depending on how many snaps you get, we've been over 80 snaps, I guess, twice maybe, and that's a lot of snaps for an O-lineman to play. But at the same time, it all goes back to who's available, and I think it's a feel thing for Randy, who he's comfortable with, what the matchup looks like inside. Is a 3 technique a guy we can handle or not, or do we need to keep fresh bodies on him and so forth, and play with tempo or whatever the plan is for that week.
Jim, Syracuse generates a lot of average plays.
Oh yeah.
How do you combat a defense that can be that disruptive? What are some of the best ways to do that?
Yeah, Rocky Long's a veteran guy. He's one of the best in the business. He's always done that. He's created a lot of, TFLs, negative plays. They give you a lot of different looks. They're very creative on what they do and how they want to muddy the water for you on runs and pass pro. I think the key for us is, we got to make sure we can execute what we're trying to do, no matter what the look is. Sometimes that makes you narrow things down and not try to do as much, because their whole deal is to get you off schedule and create negative plays for you, or short yardage plays, especially on 1st and 2nd down. They want to put you in 3rd long, and then they can get pretty exotic. So I think the key for us is to create a plan that our guys can execute at a high level, no matter what they see. But then, you're always going to be expecting the unexpected with Coach Long. I mean, he does a great job, and we definitely have our hands full this week.
Chip, Matt was talking about during the bye week, kind of constructing a pre-spring depth chart of sorts, kind of evaluating, who may stay, who may leave. Kind of what does that process look like, putting all that together, knowing that, okay, this guy might return, this guy might, this, that, and the other, what's that?
Yeah, it's a different world in college football these days, but Coach Brown handles that stuff very well. So, that's really probably more for him than us. We're trying to really self-evaluate ourselves during the bye week as well as get ready for a good Syracuse team. So, we have an idea who we think might, but things can change. We got 8 games left, 2 months left in the regular season. So, I think that's something that, it's good to take a peek at that when you have a chance to catch your breath in a bye week. And Coach Brown's on top of that for sure, and we're just trying to prepare for Syracuse.
Chip, the production looks like it for British Brooks. Has he been different since he came back from the injury? I mean, it looks like the numbers haven't been there.
Sure.
But what have you seen since he's come back from the injury?
No, I think he's back healthy. I just think the last 2 games we played some guys up front that pretty good and defend the run very well. And luckily we've got a quarterback that can play, so we've been able to take advantage of that. But I think for British, he's getting back close as he's been to healthy early in the season, and we need him and Amarian to share the load. And I think if you look at the attempts they have, but we haven't had that production, and we need to run the football better. There's no doubt about that. And I think we've really stressed that and pushed that, and we've done that at times, but we need to be more consistent against the better opponents that we're going to play that have the better front seven. And that's something we're really pushing and trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way to run the ball, what scheme fits the best. And we're not getting too far away from who we are, because again, you can only do certain things. A lot of good plays out there, but we can't execute all those plays against all the looks. So, I think Randy's doing a good job of saying, okay, here's where our guys are. And, Randy's new as well, so he's trying to figure out, okay, in a game situation, what are our guys capable of doing the most? And that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully with this week, we'll see an improvement in that area. We need to be able to run the ball better. We all understand that and know that. That's what we're trying to do. And at times we have, but we got to be more consistent for sure.
Kind of sticking on that, when you've had a lineup like Willie Lampkin, Adorno, Montilus all suffer injuries, it's kind of shuffled around position-wise. Is it hard to build that continuity within the group that can produce a product in the run game? And is that something you see could maybe get there in the coming weeks when you get those guys
I think
back?
it can. I think the bye week came at a really good time for us to get some guys back healthy. I think too, as you go through the coaching, I think this is my 27th or 8th year doing it. Like, some guys can play right and left. Some guys aren't as comfortable on each side. The play call is different. We're going to run the ball to the right. Now I'm on the back side of it, whereas if I play on the right guard, I'm on the front side. So the combos are different, the calls are different. And some guys can really do that. They have it's like, anytime, like, people like my daughter, she's got a terrible sense of direction. Like, in my mind, I feel like I know where everything is on the map. She can't see that. She has to punch it in her phone wherever she goes. She might just be going down the road to Walmart or somewhere. But I think for us is developing as many guys that are versatile, that can play right, left, inside, and outside. And really at the next level, that's what we try to tell them too. The more versatile you are, the more opportunity you might have, because they can't carry that many linemen in the NFL. So I think we're still trying to find that sweet spot. But the big thing for us is getting all 3 of those guys back healthy so we can rotate those guys and keep them fresh.
Chip, was being able to have Saturday fully off to watch Syracuse Clemson, was that educational for you? Just how did you approach that any different? That you're being able to do it in your living room as opposed to like looking at the laptop.
I was recruiting, so I didn't get back in until the middle of the day on Saturday and missed the start of that game. But it was nice, really, just to catch your breath, and you never get a chance to really just watch college football. And I think you can learn some things for sure. Just watching, you can't rewind it, or at least I can't rewind it and watch it again. But we come in, we got every game here, so it's easy to come in and kind of do that on Sunday. But it felt good to catch our breath. Really, last week I think was critical for us. Last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I think we got a lot of good work in. Let some guys heal up a little bit and try to improve in some areas we need to improve on. But when you're a college football coach, those Saturdays where you can kind of relax and watch and maybe grill out or something like that, they're far and few between. And sometimes you're sitting there going, "Well, this would be pretty nice if I could do this every weekend." But
same for the reporters too.
Yeah, same for you guys. Yeah, I mean, you guys do the same thing we do. You're busy like we are, but it sure is nice sometimes to be able to do that. I don't know if I get used to that or get old or what. I remember when I was a high school coach, that was I wanted to get up early Saturday morning and get the laundry done and get all that stuff off, and that way I could be home and watch college football all day. But it's been a while since I've been able to do that. And it is nice every now and then. At the same time, it kind of gets you eager for Sunday to get here so you get back to work. You get it to kind of a creature of habit, and you get used to doing things a certain time. We're all on the schedule. We all have a routine, so to speak, and when that routine's interrupted, it's different for sure.
If there are a certain number of boxes to check when you get in the red zone on offense to score touchdowns, especially on the ground, are you guys checking all those boxes right now?
When you say boxes, what do you mean?
Well, like you must be able to do these things well in order to consistently get touchdowns when you get in the red zone, especially if you get them on the ground. There's that force the will thing on the ground.
Yeah, I think the better you can run the ball, I think the easier the red zone can be for you. You know, you got to remember when you get in the red zone, especially the low red, the field shrinks and the defense doesn't have to defend much, and those guys would tell you, you know, their whole deal is to hold you to a field goal. So, and what I've noticed over the last probably 5 or 6 years, a lot of defenses playing way more zone coverage than they used to down there. It used to be, you know, we'd bring pressure and play man coverage, and offensive coordinators, hey, we'll throw the fade balls to our best guys, and you just don't get many of those opportunities anymore because of all the zone coverage. So I think for us, each and every week presents a different challenge of finding ways to run the football. You know, the RPOs have helped. I think that helps some too, but it's definitely something each and every week. It's a challenge, you know, how we get in the end zone.
Quick follow-up on that. When you have a quarterback like Dre, who can move and throw the ball left-handed when he's on the move, how much does going up against zone coverage in the red zone actually aid you guys when you have a quarterback that can do that?
Yeah, it's a huge benefit. And then the guy that can't move, the left-handed throw he made at Pitt, I mean, that was a run that he actually probably should have gave the ball, but he pulled it and he's getting pulled down. And, you know, we had the option to throw it, and they fell off of him, and he did. He did a great job. I didn't expect him to throw it left-handed, but it was kind of one of those things where I looked over and I said, did he really do that? And, you know, Freddie and I were talking. And then, you know, the other one, we had one down there on the 2-yard line maybe, and we were running a little sprint out, and they covered it, and he just kept running and ran it in. So it's a huge benefit to have a mobile guy, and he does a great job there. He's very competitive and makes quick decisions. That's huge down there. The red zone, everything's sped up. The windows are tighter. You got to make quick decisions, and he's really doing a nice job of it right now.
All right, gang.
Okay, y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.